All right, so today we're diving deep into something pretty cool, prepping for a construction commercial diver interview.
Not your average 9 to 5, huh?
Nope, definitely not. We're talking underwater construction building and repairing the structures that keep our world running. It's a demanding field for sure, but the payoff. Let's just say the career guide from RoleCatcher paints a pretty exciting picture.
And it's a field that's only going to grow from here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the projections are looking at like a 5 to 7% increase in jobs over the next decade.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
huge. What's driving that kind of growth?
A couple big things. Actually, aging infrastructure is a big one. All those bridges and pipelines and dams, they need constant upkeep and repair. Then you've got the rise of marine industries like renewable energy, offshore wind farms, things like that. That's really fueling the demand for these specialized skills.
So if you're looking for a career that's in demand, offers a unique challenge, and has a real impact on the world, this might be it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of interview questions, I think it's important to set the stage. What does a construction commercial diver actually do day to day? What's a typical day look like?
Well, there really isn't a typical day, and that's part of what makes it so exciting. But imagine this, you're part of a dive team. You might be inspecting pipelines for leaks, repairing underwater cables, or even installing massive structures for those offshore wind farms we were talking about.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It definitely can be. It's construction work, but with a whole other layer of complexity and risk, and let's face it, a whole lot of adventure.
Okay, so let's say you've landed an interview for one of these awesome jobs. What's one question you can almost guarantee they'll ask?
Can you tell us about your experience working as a construction commercial diver? You're going to hear that one for sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They want to know you've actually walked the walk,
Yeah.
not just talked the talk.
Exactly. It's not enough to just list off the jobs you've had on your resume. They want to hear how you've applied your skills in real-world scenarios, what challenges you faced, how you overcame them, what impact you had.
So it's all about storytelling.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a specific project that you're proud of, maybe one that was particularly challenging or where you had to get creative to solve a problem. What were the key steps you took? What was the outcome? And how did your actions contribute to the project's success? Paint a picture for them.
I like that paint a picture. It's not just about listing facts. It's about bringing your experience to life.
And don't forget to quantify your achievements whenever possible. Numbers speak volumes. For example, instead of just saying, I improved efficiency, you could say, by implementing a new welding technique, I was able to reduce project completion time by 15%.
Good.
That packs a punch.
So much better, right? It shows you're not just throwing words around. You've actually got the results to back them up.
Exactly. Show them you can deliver.
All right, so you've told your story. You've highlighted your accomplishments. What kind of follow-up questions should you be prepared for?
Oh, they'll definitely dig deeper. They might ask, what were some of the challenges you faced on that project? Or what lessons did you learn from that experience?
So how do you answer those honestly without making yourself look bad?
Honesty is key, but always frame it in a positive light. Don't shy away from mentioning challenges, but focus on how you overcame them, what you learned, and how you grew as a professional. It shows resilience, a willingness to learn from mistakes, and a commitment to continuous improvement. Those are all qualities interviewers love to see.
It's like that saying, fall down 7 times, stand up 8.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about how you bounce back from it.
All right, so we've tackled the experience question. Now let's shift gears and talk about something that's absolutely critical in this line of work. Safety. I mean, we're talking about working underwater in potentially hazardous conditions.
Yeah.
So how do you convince an interviewer that you take safety seriously?
You better believe they're going to ask about that. It's non-negotiable in this field. They'll probably ask something like, how do you ensure safety while working underwater? Or what are your top safety priorities? And this isn't the time for vague answers like, I'm careful or I follow the rules.
Right. You need to be specific, detailed, and demonstrate a deep understanding of safety protocols. And RoleCatcher's Career Guide actually has a whole section on this. It emphasizes the importance of having a personal safety checklist and knowing it inside and out.
That's a great place to start. Walk the interviewer through your pre-dive checklist, mentioning specific equipment you inspect and why. Don't forget to explain the buddy system, how diving with a partner enhances safety by providing that extra set of eyes and immediate assistance if needed.
I never really thought about it that way, but it makes total sense. It's like having a built-in safety net.
Exactly. And don't forget about communication. It's crucial for safety both before and during the dive. You need to ensure everyone on the team understands the dive plan, potential hazards, and emergency procedures. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
So it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about having that constant awareness and communication.
You got it. Safety is a team effort.
All right, let's say the interviewer wants to get even more specific. They ask something like, tell us about a time you had to respond to a safety hazard underwater. What would be a good example to share?
Think of a situation where you noticed a potential problem during a dive. Maybe you spotted a faulty piece of equipment, a change in water conditions, or a diver exhibiting signs of distress. Explain how you quickly assessed the situation, communicated the issue to your team, and followed established protocols to mitigate the risk.
So it's about showing you can stay calm under pressure, think clearly, and take decisive action.
Exactly. They want to see that you're not just going to freeze up when things get tough.
No, I know hydraulic systems are a big part of this job.
Yeah.
What should our listener know about answering questions related to that?
First and foremost, be honest about your skill level. Don't oversell yourself. If you're comfortable with specific types of hydraulic systems, great, be specific. If you're still developing your expertise in a particular area, acknowledge it and express your eagerness to learn.
So if they ask, what experience do you have with hydraulic systems used in underwater construction? How should you approach that?
Start by mentioning any specific training or certifications you have related to hydraulics. Then provide examples of projects where you've worked with these systems, highlighting your understanding of their operation and maintenance. You could even talk about any challenges you encountered and how you overcame them.
And what if they ask about a specific type of equipment that you haven't worked with? Like, have you ever operated a remotely operated vehicle or ROV manipulator? What if you haven't?
It's perfectly fine to say, while I haven't had the opportunity to work with ROV manipulators specifically, I'm familiar with their general principles and I'm eager to learn more about their application in underwater construction. Expressing a willingness to learn new skills is always a good thing. It shows you're adaptable and committed to professional growth.
That's a great tip. It shows initiative and a desire to expand your knowledge base, which are valuable qualities in any field, but especially one that's constantly evolving like this one.
You're absolutely right. The underwater construction industry is constantly innovating, so a thirst for knowledge and a willingness to adapt to new technologies are essential for success. You know, it's not always smooth sailing down there.
Oh, I imagine things can go wrong pretty easily underwater.
You bet. Equipment malfunctions, unexpected changes in conditions, you name it. And that's why interviewers love to ask about troubleshooting. They want to know you can think on your feet when things get tough.
So let's say they ask, tell us about a time you had to solve a problem underwater. What kind of example would really impress them?
Pick a situation that really put your critical thinking and problem-solving skills to the test. Maybe you were inspecting a pipeline and you encountered a leak, or maybe you had to make a critical repair in zero visibility conditions. Whatever it is, walk the interviewer through your thought process step by step.
So like, how did you identify the problem in the first place?
Exactly. And then what steps did you take to diagnose it? What tools or resources did you use? Did you have to improvise? And most importantly, how did you work with your team to come up with a solution?
Right, because I imagine teamwork is huge in this kind of environment.
It's absolutely essential. Underwater construction is a team sport. You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So when you're describing how you solved that problem, highlight how you communicated with your team, delegated tasks if necessary, and work together to find the best solution.
It's all about showing you can be a leader, but also a team player.
Exactly. And of course, don't forget to mention the outcome. What impact did your solution have? Did you prevent a major disaster? Did you save the project time and money? Those details matter.
Okay, so let's move on to another important aspect of this job. Staying up to date in a field that's constantly evolving. I mean, new technologies are emerging all the time. How do you convince an interviewer that you're committed to continuous learning?
Oh, they're going to want to know about that for sure. They might ask something like, how do you stay current with advancements in underwater technology and equipment? And trust me, a simple, I read magazines isn't going to cut it.
Right. It's got to be something more proactive than that.
Yeah.
So what are some good examples of things our listeners can mention?
Talk about specific conferences or workshops you've attended, online courses, you've taken professional organizations you're a member of, anything that shows you're actively seeking out opportunities to learn and grow.
I like that. And even better if you can connect your learning to real-world applications.
Right. Absolutely. For example, you could say, I recently attended a conference on underwater robotics, and I'm excited to implement some of the new inspection techniques I learned about into my next project. That shows you're not just passively absorbing information, you're actually putting it to use.
So it's all about demonstrating that growth mindset.
Exactly. Interviewers want to see that you're not content to just rest on your laurels. You're always looking for ways to improve your skills and knowledge.
All right, so now let's talk about something that might make some people squirm a little. Working in harsh or challenging underwater environments. I mean, this job isn't always crystal clear waters and tropical fish.
Not always. Think strong currents, low visibility, extreme temperatures, even the occasional curious shark.
Okay, I'm officially terrified. How do you even begin to prepare for a question like, how do you handle working in those kinds of conditions?
It's all about drawing on your past experiences. Think about times you've worked in difficult or dangerous conditions. Maybe you had to battle strong currents while inspecting a pipeline. Or maybe you had to perform a delicate repair in near zero visibility. Whatever the situation was, explain the precautions you took, the equipment you used, and how you managed to stay focused and productive despite the challenges.
So it's about showing you can adapt and persevere even when things get tough.
Exactly. Resilience is a must-have quality in this field. And remember, be specific. Use vivid language to paint a picture of what it was like to work in those conditions and how you overcame the obstacles.
Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet is communication, which seems pretty important when you're working underwater and can't exactly shout to your teammate across the way.
Communication is absolutely critical. You could say it's the lifeline of any dive team. And you can bet interviewers will want to know how you handle it in a challenging environment like underwater construction.
So let's say they ask, how do you communicate effectively with your team while working underwater? Where do you even begin?
Start by acknowledging the unique challenges of underwater communication. You can't just have a casual conversation down there.
Right. So then explain the specific methods you use. Hand signals are a big one, so talk about those and make sure you mention how you ensure everyone on the team understands them. You could even give an example of a specific hand signal and its meaning.
Like what? Pass the wrench. Well, it's a little more nuanced than that, but yeah, something like that. Maybe the gut signal, which is used to indicate that a welder or cutter is ready to begin working. It involves forming a C shape with your thumb and forefinger. Simple, but essential.
It's like a whole secret language down there.
It really is, and becoming fluent in that language is crucial for safe and efficient underwater operations. And of course, don't forget to mention the importance of pre-dive briefings. That's where you make sure everyone's on the same page before you even hit the water.
So it's all about communication, communication.
You got it. Communication is key, both before, during, and after the dive. It's how you ensure everyone stays safe and the project stays on track. You know, another thing interviewers are really interested in? Deadlines.
Yeah, deadlines. Those can be a real pain in any job, but I bet they're especially tough when you're working underwater.
You got that right. Underwater construction projects are notorious for tight deadlines and unexpected delays. So interviewers want to know you can handle the pressure, that you can stay calm, focused, and productive even when the clock is ticking.
So how should someone prepare for a question like, tell us about a time you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline? What kind of story would really impress an interviewer?
Think back to a project where you faced a really challenging deadline. Maybe there were weather delays, equipment malfunctions, unexpected changes to the project scope. Whatever it was, make sure it was a situation that really put your skills to the test.
Sounds stressful.
Oh, it can be, but that's the point. The interviewer wants to see how you handle that stress. So walk them through your process. How did you prioritize tasks? Did you delegate responsibilities to your team? Did you have to come up with any creative solutions to save time?
I imagine there are times when you have to get pretty creative underwater.
Oh, absolutely. Resourcefulness is key in this job.
Yeah.
You don't always have the ideal tools or conditions, so you need to be able to think on your feet and come up with solutions on the fly. When you're telling your story, highlight those moments where you had to improvise, where you had to think outside the box to get the job done.
It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart.
Exactly. And don't forget to mention the outcome. Did you meet the deadline? What were the results of your efforts? Did you receive any recognition for going above and beyond? Those details help paint a picture of you as a reliable and results-oriented team member.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of technical questions, but there's one question that often throws people off. It seems simple enough, but it can actually be quite tricky. Why are you interested in a career as a construction commercial diver? What's the best way to answer that without sounding cliche?
Don't just say, I like diving, or it looks cool. Dig a little deeper. Think about what truly drew you to this profession. What gets you excited about it? What are your long-term goals? This is your chance to show the interviewer your passion and your personality, to let them see what makes you tick.
So it's not just about reciting your qualifications, it's about showing them who you are as a person.
Exactly. And remember, a good story can go a long way. If you have a personal anecdote that illustrates your passion, share it. Maybe you had a childhood experience that sparked your interest in the underwater world. Or maybe you were inspired by a documentary about underwater construction. Whatever it is, let your enthusiasm shine through.
It's about connecting with the interviewer on a personal level and showing them that you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career that you're truly passionate about.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to mention one more resource that can be incredibly helpful for interview prep, RoleCatcher. We've talked a lot about how to approach these interview questions, but RoleCatcher can actually help you tailor your answers to specific job roles.
Oh yeah, RoleCatcher, we mentioned them
Yeah.
earlier. They've got that awesome career guide, but they also have these AI-powered tools that can really give you an edge in the interview process, right?
That's right. You can input the specific job description, and RoleCatcher's AI will analyze it and provide personalized feedback on your answers. It's like having a virtual interview coach in your pocket.
That's so cool. So it's not just about giving you generic advice. It's about helping you craft answers that are tailored to the specific company and position you're applying for.
Exactly. And the feedback you receive can help you identify areas where you can strengthen your answers, highlight your most relevant skills, even fine-tune your delivery. It's a game changer.
So if you're serious about landing that dream job, RoleCatcher is definitely worth checking out. It can help you prepare for those tough questions, refine your answers, and boost your confidence.
Absolutely. The more prepared you are, the better you'll perform. And that's what it's all about, acing that interview and landing that job.
This has been such an awesome deep dive. I feel like we've covered everything from the technical aspects of the job to those all-important soft skills. I hope our listeners feel empowered and ready to take on their next construction commercial diver interview.
I hope so too. It's a demanding field, no doubt, but it's also incredibly rewarding. If you're passionate about underwater construction and you're willing to put in the work, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
So get out there, explore the possibilities, and never stop learning. The underwater world is waiting.